What's going on, everybody? This is Arcade. Welcome back to another video on Marvel Contest of Champions, and today we're taking a look at the next episode in our stud or dud series featuring Rogue. So Rogue is one of the lesser appreciated champions in the Mutant class. I do think this is not due to any of her own fault, since the Mutant class is pretty stacked. You have champions like Omega Red, Sunspot, Domino, and even Magneto after his buff now. So not everyone has these champions, and that is why I started this series, man. We need to test out these lesser known champions, figure out whether or not these champions are worth ranking up and investing resources into. So jumping into her abilities, as you can see on screen, she does have a life steal on her SP1 and a power steal on her SP2. This unique set of kit in her abilities is actually what makes her a pretty simple and pretty unique champion, as not most champions have both those abilities tied in. Jumping into our first fight here, we are taking on Realm of Legends Winter Soldier. Now this guy is actually a pretty average fight. You don't really need to worry about anything specific with him. However, I do feel that this is the perfect ground to test out Rogue's abilities and make a note of the numbers that she is going to be dropping here. So first we start off the fight with some basic hits. We are going to building up to a special 2, and let's just talk about that special 2. So every hit that Rogue lands on her special 2 is going to be stealing 9% of the opponent's current power. Right there, as you can see, 3 hits actually drained him for 27% of his power. Like I said, 9% per hit. So every time she crits on those special attacks, the potency of her abilities actually go up, which means that every critical hit is going to be stealing more power and stealing more life from the opponent. Right there, as you can see, we dropped an SP1, regened back, and now we're building back up to an SP2. We dropped that SP2 right there, and as you can see, we are practically back to a special 2 of our own. Now what we're going to be doing is taking a few hits to the face just to see how fast Rogue can recover and regenerate throughout this fight. So the way her SP1 works is that every time she lands the second hit of her SP2, she is going to be dealing some damage to the opponent, and that exact damage is what she herself is going to be healing for, right? So basically she is stealing that life from the enemy. Now this is a bit better than any kind of regeneration because it's not an actual buff, which means it can't be nullified, and it is also not reliant on any kind of RNG. So it's not luck based, it's purely reliable SP1 regen, man. And as you can see there, we did regenerate for 3000 health, but the last time here we regenerated for just 12% health, and that is because, again, just like her SP2, her SP1 regen also is tied into her ability to crit. And that is why I do think that Rogue is a pretty decent champion when she is awakened, as her awakened ability gives her more critical rating. However, she does not require a lot of sig stones, as she gets 30% increased crit rating at sig level 20, and this ability only scales up to 40% at sig 200. Right there, we are going to be taking another hit to the face just so we can drop down as low as possible and start to build our health back up from there. So right there, we need to get rid of the 2 bars of power we have. But as you can see, man, that last hit crit for 4k, which means we stole a lot of that enemy's power back, and we are again back to a special 2. Now we drop that special 2, we drop one more hit, and we start to regenerate. As you can see, we are already back up to 40%, and we are going to be repeating this process for as long as it takes to build up to a full yellow bar. Right there, another SP1 did not crit, only 1200 health, but that's okay, dude. 1200 health I think is still pretty significant, and in matches such as AQ and even Act 5, that amount of health can actually be the difference between winning that fight with a completely stable champion or losing it and having to revive, man. So as you can see, we are practically back up to 50% here. We are going to be dropping another special attack here, and this time regenerating up to 60% health. And Rogue, as you can see, is slowly able to top herself off. However, Winter Soldier is not that low, which again brings me to my next point, which is that Rogue is not the champion that you use to deal big yellow numbers. She is the kind of champion that is going to be sustainable throughout the fight and help you through multiple fights in any quest. She's not the champion that you are going to be bringing to stomp on the enemy and just knock them down. Right there, as you can see, man, about 20% of our health regenerated from just one special attack, which means that if she crits, she can actually regenerate very reliably. And right now we are up to basically a full bar of health, which means that we are going to eventually knock Winter Soldier down without any kind of problem. Now the next ability I need to talk about is the ability Rogue has to shrug off debuffs faster. Let's take a standard Iceman fight, for example. We are bringing in Hulk just to take a look at Iceman's cold snap debuff. So right there, as you know, Iceman at the start of the fight, when he's awakened, he puts a cold snap debuff on the enemy, and without even taking a single hit, within the first minute of the fight, we've lost 30% of Hulk's health. Now Hulk does have a pretty standard health pool of 19,000, but 30% of that is pretty significant. Now let's bring in Rogue here for the same fight. As you can see, within the first few seconds, Rogue has already shrugged off the cold snap debuff, and not only that, with a reliable regen on our SP1, the little health that we did lose in this fight, we can regenerate back up. Right there, as you can see, she can top herself off with her SP1, which means that this Iceman is not going to be dealing any extra damage to us unless we end up taking a few hits. And the little damage that he does, as you can see, we are just going to regenerate easily. Now let's jump into another example here with Morningstar. Now Morningstar does not deal any kind of debuffs just at the start of the fight. However, if she is awakened, making contact or striking her is going to place a bleed debuff on you. Now this is similar to some of the nodes we have in Act 5 and Act 6, like Biohazard and even Freeze Up Burn. Those nodes actually put a lot of debuffs on you, like Bleed, Poison, Cold Snap, and even Incinerate. And you don't always have these double and triple immune champions to bring on this path, so a champion like Rogue can actually come in pretty handy, dude. As you can already see, Morningstar is down to 50% of her health, and Rogue already has her health up to practically a full bar, man. And the little health that she is losing from those bleed debuffs, she is regenerating using the willpower mastery and her SP1 regen. Not only that, the debuffs from Morningstar are getting shrugged off really quick here. Let's take a final comparison fight between Rogue and Electro, and let's bring in Hulk just to compare some numbers. As you can see here, Hulk is dealing some good damage to Electro, but as you already know, Electro has a kind of thorns mechanic built into his kit, which means every time you hit Electro, a part of that damage is going to be dealt back to you. And unless you're using a champion like Namor and Omega Red, there's just nothing you can do to avoid that damage, man. You are going to have to take that damage irrespective of what champion you have or how well you play the fight. Now Hulk has already brought Electro down to 20%, but Hulk himself has lost basically 50% of his health by the end of this fight without even taking a single hit. However, Rogue, with her reliable SP1 regen, has been able to sustain about 80% of her health, and the little health that she is losing, she keeps topping up with her SP1. Now as you can see, Electro goes down and we come out of the fight with about 70% of our health. Now before we go into our final conclusions on this champion, I just wanted to point out that Hulk in this fight did have 19,000 health as a rank 3 champion, whereas Rogue just has over 16,000 health, which means even at the start of the fight, Rogue had a massive disadvantage in terms of how much health she has. However, she did manage to come out of that fight with more than 20% health than Hulk did, which really brings us to our final part of this video. Alright, taking a final look at this champion, I think that Rogue is without a doubt an absolute stud of a champion. She has a reliable power steal mechanic on her SP2. She has a highly sustainable SP1 regen mechanic, and not only that, she does not need a very high sig once she is awakened. And all of these things combined make her a very highly valued champion to have on your team when you're taking multiple fights in any given quest, man. And for those reasons, I think that Rogue is an absolute stud of a champion. And if you do happen to pull her as one of your first 4 or 5 star champions, you should definitely rank her up, give her all the catalyst, give her all the resources that you got, because this is the kind of champion that is going to help you push to the next milestone in your progression. Alright, that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you did enjoy this video. If you did, hit that thumbs up. Let me know in the comments what champion you want to be featuring on the Stud or Dud series, and I will catch you guys later. Peace.